18-member mediation committee constituted to resolve the county's revenue standoff between the National Assembly and the Senate has today settled on a figure of 316.5 billion shillings after senators ceded ground from their initial demand of 335 billion. The mediated version of the Division of Revenue Bill now awaits approval in both houses of Parliament and assent by the President to unlock cash to the counties. Tonight, Murimi Mwangi reports on the county's revenue crisis and explains why a separate bill by Kikuyu legislator Kimani Ichung'wah seeking to permanently cure this headache is headed for a heated debate in both houses.
The solidarity tunes of anger from county government workers over delayed July salaries, and which arguably best illustrated the cash crunch that has been biting counties. Following a bitter standoff between the National Assembly and the Senate over the Division of Revenue Bill, before senators ceded ground and accepted the 316.5 billion shillings allocated to the counties by members of the National Assembly. But Kikuyu legislator and National Assembly Budget Committee Chair Kimani Ichung'wah has drafted what he says will be a permanent cure to the cash crunch in the counties should a stalemate prevail again in Parliament over revenue share to the devolved units. This legislation, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill of 2019, which seeks to grant counties their constitutionally guaranteed minimum revenue share of 15% of the national revenue, pending passage of the Division of Revenue Bill. The legislation already igniting mixed reactions in Parliament.
Going forward, counties can access their amount guaranteed by the Constitution as they wait for the mediation processes to conclude.
You imagine the current allocation, 70% of it will go to recurrent expense. When you allocate 15% during the period where you are having a dispute, you are simply saying, don't pay salaries, don't do development.
Counties currently receive over 30% of the national revenue. At the peak of the Division of Revenue standoff, however, governors had to make do with local revenue collections and leftovers from last financial year, as Treasury declined to release any funds over lack of an enabling legislation to do so, a move affirmed by Attorney General Kihara Kariuki in an advisory following a query from the Senate. Ichung'wah suggests that the Senate should, through a resolution, divide the guaranteed 15% among county governments in event that the Division of Revenue Bill has not been passed by the 10th of June every year. The National Assembly subsequently has no powers to reject the resolution, but can amend it only with a 2/3 majority. Once passed by both houses, that resolution, Ichung'wah says, shall constitute explicit authorization to the controller of budget to disburse funds to the counties.
I would rather we deal with the proposal by the acting CS, where he came to Senate with a provision of the South African Constitution, which provides for 45%. But in his view, he proposed that we do 50% of the last allocation during the period.
We need measures of revenue raising to be a matter that should be considered seriously by the national government and also seriously by the county governments, because we share money, but we should also share the way to raise that money.
The same principle to apply for the national government. That is, government can stop in instances where the Senate has not approved the DORA bill, the so-called Division of Revenue Bill.
Ichung'wah's bill awaits conclusion of debate and approval at the National Assembly to be forwarded to the Senate for further debate and a vote. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News.